All right, good morning. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it, do it, do it. We're talking today about third grade readiness. Okay? Third grade readiness. Um, man, third is an incredible year. Just want to make sure I'm on both places. Third grade is an incredible year. If you, again, are someone, if you have a third grader, go ahead and put a 1 in the comment section. If you know a third grader, you don't have one of your own, but you know one, go ahead and put a 2. Go ahead and share this information with someone that you love, all right? So that we can get our babies on the right track, okay? All right, so let's do it. Third grade for many states is the first grade that a student will experience standardized testing. Okay, standardized testing are benchmark assessments that the state uses for schools to determine how proficient or advanced or basic or below basic their student population is. Okay, in the PA region, it is called the PSSA. I believe Delaware has the STARS assessment. You have things like Keystones, which I believe students in Pennsylvania take in high school. Okay. But more importantly, this is the year where students experience their first standardized testing assessment. Okay. This is incredibly important, all right, because this is, in my opinion, where students and parents kind of begin their esteem academically. All right, there is a shock to the system when a parent or a student receives information back at the end of the year or the beginning of the next year that says that their child is basic or below basic. Okay, there's joy when we see that students are proficient or advanced, right? But basic and below basic is a shock to our system. Okay, now keep in mind that this is called a standardized test. Ironically, we do all of this modification in our classrooms because we are supposed to be aware that students have different learning abilities. Okay, in today's classroom, there are 1,000 different learning needs in one classroom. Okay, so in any class, for me, for example, I've taught in seventh grade classrooms where I had people on a 10th grade reading level, folks on a seventh grade reading level, and folks on a first grade reading level. Um, if you want to know what crazy looks and feels like, ask a teacher. Okay, ask a teacher because we are literally becoming all things in a classroom in order to teach, right, to everyone in the class. So in every class, there's going to be students who think the teacher is moving too fast. There are going to be students who are bored because they're not getting enough. And then there are going to be students who just don't care. Right? They don't care what you're doing. They came to have a good time. Okay? They don't care about it. As long as the class was lit because they were able to throw pencils across the room, you know, their day is made, right? But third grade is the year where I believe where students and parents really get to see just how well their child stands up against someone else, right, in another school in the same state. All right. Now, in our affluent school districts, many of them, of course, right, are scoring a lot higher than those who are in the Title I schools, right, where the poverty line is a little different. There is a direct, and I didn't come to teach this today, but there is a direct correlation between poverty and education. If you look, I believe in Pennsylvania, the poverty rate, the last time I looked, was like 24, 25%. In Delaware, it was about 27%. Okay. So in a lot of our schools, we are dealing with school systems where they don't have things like textbooks. When I was teaching in Philly, Philly had a great retirement program, but baby, we had to buy our own supplies. I remember bringing in paper. I didn't know what a ream of paper was until I was a teacher in Philly. Okay. I don't know if Philly is still doing that. I haven't worked for Philly in over 10 years. But I used to have to bring my own paper. God forbid you wanted color because you weren't getting that. We had to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on supplies because the school districts just did not provide that. Okay. So we're looking at standardized tests. I am actually not a fan of standardized testing. I hate them. I hate them. I think they're unfair. Um, there's that. Okay, but it doesn't change anything because very rarely can you test out. All right, you have to have, I think, some kind of medical reason, some kind of sped reason, or some kind of religious reason in order to opt your child out of standardized testing. Okay, in most schools. Now, more importantly, most parents are okay with their child taking a standardized test. What does a standardized test look like in a school setting? Typically, it's about 5 days of 2 to 3 hours of testing. It's grueling. It's boring. It's hot. It's cold. They're hungry. They're not. Like it's teachers have to walk around right constantly. It's definitely been a little more work with teachers since folks were cheating in school systems, and so now teachers have to be actively monitoring, right, to ensure that there's no cheating going on. In a lot of schools, they'll even have the state that will come and do an audit of how they're doing. So it is a very, very crazy time. Physically, the physical layout of the classroom can be a little crazy as well. There are some teachers who do things like put trash bags up to hide materials, all of that. I'd rather not have my room look like a trash bin, but depending on how students even operate with the physical layout of the room, all plays a part in how students operate on their standardized test. Okay? Now, the standardized test in Pennsylvania, I'll just use Pennsylvania, all right, because I know that well, well, well. There are 3 days of ELA testing and there are 2 days of math, all right. So typically ELA is first, so you'll do a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of ELA testing, and then Thursday and Friday will be math. Again, the test is about 2 to 3 hours long on average, but standardized testing does not have a test limit. As long as the child finishes within that day, all right, they will allow any school worth their salt anyway, will allow the child to take however long they need to take in order to complete the test. Okay. Now, the third grade test, of course, is going to be easier than any of the other testing. All right. But it is still a shock to the student system because they're not used to sitting there and having to concentrate on the same booklet for 3, 4, maybe 2 to 4 hours. Okay. So the anxiety that comes along with testing in the third grade is great. I believe that all schools should have a class that teaches test anxiety. I really do, or test strategy, because it's not that some kids are not intelligent. Some kids just don't test well on a standardized testing. So for me, right, I'm not a big standardized testing fan. As a matter of fact, when I took my teaching certification, I actually failed my teacher certification test 2 times. I love telling this story. I actually failed my teaching certification test twice, and I failed my driving test twice. Okay? Not because I was not intelligent, but because, okay, for my teaching certification, the first time I went, it was cold. Mother don't operate well when it's cold. I want to go to sleep, right? I wasn't concentrating. I was too cold to concentrate. Next time I came back, I wore a sweater. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this time the guy who was testing across from me was tapping his hands on the desk. Now, in college testing, you cannot speak, you cannot have an eye watch, you can't have an alarm go off, none of that. You are automatically disqualified if you make a sound. Okay? So I'm terrified because I want to tell this dude stop tapping. But the tapping annoyed me. I allowed it to annoy me so much, I failed again. So what did I do the third time? The third time, I went with a sweater and with earplugs, and I killed the test. Okay. Now, I'm a grown woman at the time, right? Still struggling with standardized testing. And it took me and if you don't know, in college, you got to pay for those tests. I think I was a buck 20, 75, $175 a piece to fail those tests. Okay. So my teaching degree, honey baby, I earned that thing. You hear me? So children don't really know that though, right? Right? So some of your children who are not testing well, some of it may not be that they're not intelligent. Some of it may just be that they don't have the strategy necessary, right, to be able to test in a way where they're successful. Okay? So now is a good time to start talking to your children about test strategies, test anxiety. Typically, what I do in third grade is I take the book, I throw it across the room, and you got to be animated. And I'm like, did, did the test get up and fight me back? And they're like, no. Like, can the test hurt me? You know, I'm doing like all this other stuff. Like, you beat the test. I controlled that test. And they're like, yeah, right? So I pump them up and, we scream and do all of that. But now is a good time, all right, so my son is going into the third grade, right? I've been teaching him since the first grade about standardized testing. So much so that he knew his summer was going to be lit as far as academics because I need to prepare my son for third grade standardized testing. Deuce was in a Mandarin program actually in kindergarten and first grade. I made the professional decision to remove him from the Mandarin program because I needed him to prepare better for the third grade. Yes, I made this decision in the first grade because of the third grade standardized test. Now, why did I do that? It's not that I didn't want him to know another language, but the problem was that that class was dragging. And where they were just trying to say 1 + 2 is 3 in Mandarin, he had known that already since he was 1. And so the class was dragging. So the language was great, but I needed the pace to pick up, right? As far as his math and his reading comprehension and all of that. They were focused too much on how do you say it. I'm like, I need him to know multiplication by second grade. So we made the professional uh, decision to move him, and this is why you have to be so invested in your child's education because you should know the pace that they're moving, and you should know whether or not that pace is sufficient enough for them to get to the place where you want them to get to by that time. Okay? So we made that decision 2 years ago. So now he's going into the third grade, to me, way better prepared, right, than when he was dragging in that other class. All right. My point is, I also talked to him about standardized testing. I talked to him about that since he was in the first grade because he needed to know that at a certain point in your academic life, son, you're going to have to buckle down because this standardized test is going to give us some percentages, some averages that will now help you to be able to compete. What the standardized testing results do is it provides for your child essentially an academic resume. This becomes increasingly important as your child moves up in the grades, right? So by the time your child is in seventh and eighth grade, these standardized testing scores are really important. Why? Because this is around the time that a few things are available. There's programming available, right, for your child to compete to get into. We're going to talk about programming and some resources and things that I work with in order to get our schools into private middle schools or little to nothing. Okay, we'll talk about that around the 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about it tomorrow in 4th grade because this is when they should be entering into these programs. Now, it also provides for them a resume for work opportunities and for high school competition. Okay, when your students are going into these programs and into high school, one of the things they want to also see along with their report card grades is their standardized test grades. Why in the world would that be important? The standardized test grades provides for jobs, schools, a quick snapshot. Now, albeit unfair, because I don't really think you can tell a whole lot from somebody's standardized test scores. Because let's be honest, some people are guessing and getting things right, and it doesn't necessarily make them proficient or advanced. They just had to give the guessing. right? They did a good job guessing, right? And then some kid knew it and overthought it, right? And missed it. Doesn't really give a snapshot. But for a lot of jobs, this is how they figure out who they're going to hire, who they're going, because in their minds, it is a way for them to show how you stand up against someone else. So let's say I'm looking for children to participate in a summer program, and I require everyone to give me their report card. Everybody has a great report card, but now I'm requiring you to give me your standardized state testing scores. Well, I'm more than likely, unless this person has a character issue, because I'm really big on that, unless I can tell that this person is just does not have good character. Because can I just park right here real quick? Do you know that some of my most disruptive children are absolute geniuses? Do you know that it's possible for a child to be the disruption in your classroom and get straight A's? Some kids, it's amazing, are just gifted to be disruptive and be on honor roll. I mean, my point is, I will be able to tell, like, if this person also has a character issue, because you can be smart and still not eligible because your character is not good. Okay. But more than likely, if everybody's character is on par, I'm going to go with the person who scored proficient or advanced before I go with somebody who scored below basic. This is why the standardized testing is important. Okay? I have parents and teachers say all the time, it doesn't matter. It's not really that deep. It is that deep when we're talking about preparing our children to be able to compete locally, nationally, and globally. So what do? We prepare our third graders now for the rigor that is involved. Now, the rigor is going to be how difficult the questions are, but the other rigorous part of this is the anxiety, right, that comes with sitting there amongst other people, right? Some are going to be quicker than others. So then you have that anxiety as well, because now you feel like you're taking forever, right? You feel like the slow one. So what happens is kids rush to get the work done, and then they end up basic or below basic. So now is a good time to talk to your children about the anxiety of standardized testing and its importance to their overall academic career. Okay? As parents, you have to do a better job taking this more seriously, because you're going to want little Ray Ray, right, to participate in something and get it. But what's going to happen is, because you did not prepare, nor did you take this seriously, right, the test scores are not going to allow him to be able to compete well against someone else. All right? So what do? The third grade is the best time, listen closely, for you to get a tutor for your child. Now, here's where we mess up. Many American parents wait until a child is behind in order to get them outside help. I want you to do this. Look locally, wherever you live, wherever you are. Find help. Find it. But my kid is doing okay. They do well. He got honor roll. That's beautiful. But can he compete globally? Probably not. Because children who can compete globally are at least 2 grade levels ahead of their grade. The best time for you to get some structure, some tutor, some outside resource is when your child is doing well. Why does that matter? For 2 reasons. One, it increases their level, but also when students are already doing well, students already have the esteem necessary to do better. Once a child is behind, their esteem is shot. They already feel low. More than likely, they were already told they were low. Right? They already feel like they don't know anything. More than likely, somebody told them, you don't know nothing. Right? So what happens is you get kids who are low and you get a tutor and you throw all this money to the tutor hoping that they can change water into wine. But the first thing the tutor, any tutor worth their salt, has to do is build the child back up. Right? So 3 to 4 of those sessions is just going to be on building you. It should be anyway. Right? Now I got to figure out the foundational cracks. Then we got to, right, patch up all the cracks. I can't build with that child for another 6 months. Because now I got to do esteem work, crack foundational work. Now I can build, but the year is over. Right? So when you wait until your child is behind to get a tutor, you feel great about it. However, it's not the most advantageous thing for the child. Do not wait until your child is behind to get a tutor. You will save money, time, frustration by just going ahead and starting at the 3rd grade and getting your child the help that they need now. Please, ma'am, please, sir. Go today. Right? Go this month before it even starts. Get yourself, I don't know what's out there. Kumon is great. Kumon is very much so Kumon. You can look it up. Kumon is very much so fast paced. I think Kumon is not good for process, but it is good for mental math, right? It is good for decoding quickly, finding out what kind of words to put in a space quickly. It is not great for process though, okay? But it's a good place to start. I think Kumon actually starts at the age of 3, not the grade 3, the age of 3. So your preschooler can actually start at Kumon. Kumon, I'm gonna just tell you though, is about for English and math, I think it's gonna run you about $225, something like that a month. Now that's not bad though, right? Because it's 2 hours a week. I think it's an hour. Yeah, you pick 2 days a week. It's an hour. It's something consistent. So for about 8 hours a month, you'll pay about $225 at Kumon. Again, that is Kumon. Okay. There are some people that go to like what's it called? Huntington Valley Learning Center. Now that I got to tell you about, because I've had people that worked with me, and they felt like I'm gonna just try it, right? And they're like, "Oh, Miss Cherron, I love you, but I'm gonna try this because it's around the corner," right? And so they go there, they do some like blanket average basic assessment. They charge them $199 for the assessment. People pay it because it's a big brand name place. And then what happens is they realize that their child is actually not growing because they're just kind of throwing in worksheets, right? And kind of seeing if they can do the worksheets and they move on. But the child doesn't feel good about it. Their esteem is not being built and they're not really moving at the level. So here's what happens, right? They come back and they're like, Miss Cherron, I tried it. I got to get back. I got to get back with you. And I'm like, yeah, but now you got to wait, right? Because now I got a wait list. I done filled that spot quickly, right? Because I got a whole wait list. I can't work with you. But now they're upset because a lot of times what happens is we go to these like really big name people and places, and they're not really as productive. It feels good to say that your child went to a big name place, but the child is not getting what they need built up on the inside of them, and they're not really moving, right, at the level that you were hoping that they would move. So I'm asking you to find a place, right, be it a local place or a big chain spot, find one, right, and get your child in. Okay? All right. That's number 1, 3rd grade. This happens in 3rd grade. Go ahead. Don't give them a tutor in 1st and 2nd grade. See how they are. By that time, you're going to know whether or not your child is inattentive. You're going to know whether or not they might have some impulsivity things. You're going to know whether or not they like reading. You're going to know whether or not they learn by touching things or by watching things, or if they're great listeners. You'll know all of that. So by third grade, when you go to get your tutor, you're going to be able to provide for that tutor some information that you already know about how your child learns. Okay? That's third grade. Now, let's go over the standards. Let's go over the standards. Are we ready? Let's go over the standards. So by third grade, what should your child be able to do? Huntington Learning Center. Hey, Melanie Burris, I love you. Brady, come on, Scott, you in the house. All right. What should your child be able to do? All right, baby. So we talked about the percentage rule yesterday, right? So remember, whatever grade your child is in, add a 0. All right, so today we're talking about grade 3. So I'm going to add a 0. That makes 30. All right, what does the 30 represent? The percentage. 30% of what? Your child should be reading 30% nonfiction, 70% fiction. Remember, this is my rule. I think it's helpful. As your child moves up, they should be reading more and more nonfiction text. By 5th grade, it should be 50-50, right? By 6th grade, it should be 60% nonfiction, 40% fiction. You see where I'm going with that? Okay. Why is this important? Is it because we want to stifle all of their creativity and imagination? Absolutely not. What nonfiction text does for a child is 2 things. It gives them more information about themselves, other people, the world around them. What it also does is it quickly improves vocabulary. Okay, so we're using real words that they should be using in job interviews, and not words like ping, pang, zip, ooey, gosh. You know, those are great, but we need some real words. Okay, why is that important? Because speaking, writing are related. The way you speak is the way you will write. So, what does the vocabulary do? It increases my vocabulary so that I can now use the language when I speak. So, when I write, right, I have a better handle on vocabulary and my writing ability. Why is this important? I taught a class several years ago. I think I was probably my 2nd year of full-time teaching. And I used to have a girl that said that she threw something in the zinc, right? And I used to be like, the zinc? I'll tell you about Chester. Chester got an accent I ain't never heard before. I threw it in the zinc. Yeah, it was in the zinc. So I said, what is the zinc? I didn't know. I legit was like, I had no idea. Well, one day I read a writing piece. And this same child wrote about how she poured something down the ZINK. And I was like, oh, sink. The sink. Why? How you speak, how a child speaks is typically how they write. So, what does that mean? We have to have more teachable moments with our children when they are not pronouncing things correctly. You may think it's cute. You may think it doesn't matter because y'all home. It matters. It matters. No, that's not how we. Him wants something to drink. I don't care if they're cute and 2. Him wants something to drink is not correct English. He wants something? Oh, yeah, he wants something to drink. Right? You got to correct. No, you don't have to. You don't have to correct it. My recommendation is that you correct that stuff early because that stuff grows up. So now we have, but I'm home. I'm just being comfortable right now. So now we have 4th and 5th graders who are writing things like, him wanted to go to the store. And you're like, why is he writing this? I'm teaching different, but he's been speaking this language for so long, and the people that he lived with and trusted allowed it. right? So now the speech has grown up and it has turned into his writing. So now he's battling, right, between, but I've been doing this and saying this all my life. Why is it wrong with you? So now he's frustrated with me, right? Because I'm the only one in his life that told him this was an error. How do we do this? How do we combat this? You do it by having teachable moments throughout the day. The one thing that my son did not do well in this year was writing. You know why? The teacher told me that he takes too long to write. So I said, okay, is it his ideas? Is it, what is it? She said, no, he wants to use bigger words. So I'm like, okay. And she was like, but he has a hard time spelling it. I said, okay. And she said, most times he does spell it right. But if he feels like he used that word already before, he doesn't want to use it again. I do. You know why? If you ever heard Deuce talk, you be like, what boardroom is he sitting in? He has an impeccable, his language is incredible. Not because of me, just simply because we corrected, right, him as a young child that that's not the way you speak. You got to fix that. And so he just grew up to be somebody who wanted to have a better vocabulary. But now I got to work with him with, okay, look, you might just have to say good, one day and not impeccable. You know what I'm saying? Like you just go ahead because we gotta move you on because your work is late, son. Right? So you gotta work with your kids now because how they speak will be how they write. So that also makes it incumbent upon us, right? To make sure that we are using language and we are speaking in a way that our child can actually hear it, right? And be able to repeat that. But if we aren't speaking well around our children, then they won't have a model, right, to know what this is supposed to sound like. Now, am I saying y'all can't just kick it? No. If you were in our Bible study class this morning, I was real comfortable at 5:30 this morning. Do you hear me? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you can't chill, you can't have, comfortable language. But there should be, like, if your child is retelling a story, right? And you find that they, I'll be talking to dudes to correct them all the time. Yeah, her, yeah, yeah. Not that and he doesn't even get upset anymore. He just fixes it. Or sometimes I'll find that he'll self-correct. All right, here we go. 3rd grade, standardized testing. You need to get somebody on your team. Please do the research. Find somebody locally that you can work with. Find somebody remotely that you can work with. But what you want to look for in a good tutor is somebody that is going to do 2 things. They're going to help to build the esteem of the child. Not even 2 things, 3 things. They're going to teach the child what they need to know, and they're going to hold the child accountable. You need an accountability partner. Period. Can I tell you, there have been 2 times in my, maybe 2, maybe 3, 2.5, because I almost did it this year, where I was like, look, the child is not growing with me. They don't do homework. Every time I come, they're not prepared. This is not working. I'm going to release them. And parents are shocked when I do that because I'm like, what is money, right? If there's no fruit, I'm a fruit producer. What is a check, right? To do a service that's not working. I don't feel well taking your money and your child is not growing. Now I know why your child is not growing, right? Because you feel comfortable throwing the money out, but he's not being held accountable at home. Right? I'm the only place where he's being held accountable. By the time he gets to me for an hour, 2 hours a week, he don't care nothing about what I'm talking about because you didn't hold him accountable at home. Right? So you want somebody that you can partner with, okay? somebody that can help to build the esteem of your child while holding them accountable. Okay? Here we go. Your third grader, we're almost done. Give me 3 minutes. They're supposed to be able to ask and answer questions to demonstrate understanding of a text. Watch this word. Refer explicitly. What? Does your third grader know what the word explicitly means? Probably not. Most of us got to do a quick, let me check that out. Right? So you have implicit and you have explicit. Okay? They should be able to refer explicitly to the text as a basis for answers. In third grade, one of the things they're going to come in contact with is what's called text dependent analysis. We talked about analysis before. Analyzing just simply means to break it down. Okay? Fine comb, fine tooth, right? The text. Pick out every little thing you possibly can. Okay? Text dependent analysis questions are heavily weighted. Okay? It might just be one question on the test, but the weight of that question is incredible. Okay? So a lot of kids will see that and be like, oh, it's just one question. Let me throw something down there. No, baby. No. That could be like 30% of the test right there. Okay? Is your child able to refer back to the text, lift information from the text, give that text credit for their information, and put it in their writing, right, in such a way that it makes sense to the person reading it? We got a lot of work to do, folks. I'm trying to help you out. Can they recount stories, including fables, folktales, myths? Do they even know what a myth is? Watch this. From diverse cultures. If you want your child to thrive and grow, introduce them to other cultures. Let me park real quick. If you want your child to learn and grow, travel. Why? Because we have students who think Pennsylvania is a city and Philadelphia is a state. Why? Because they ain't been nowhere. They don't know. And I get it. We need, as adults, we need girls trips. We need husband and wife trips. Can you travel, please? You know what I started with my son this year? Every place his foot treads, we get a magnet. For 2 reasons. One, because he can't bring me no girlfriend until he's traveled the world. Don't tell me you found the most beautiful girl in the world and you ain't been nowhere. So I'm going to help you out, man of God. Because you already like the little girl in your class. Let me help you out early because you can't bring me no female until you have traveled. So everywhere we go now, we get a magnet. And he puts it on the side of the refrigerator. His North Carolina magnet just came 2 days ago. He was excited. He got up. He's like, Mom, now I need, because we don't have one for Delaware. Of course, we live here. We don't have one for Pennsylvania because our families live there. So we never even thought about that. Right? So I got to get him one for Delaware. I got to get him one for Pennsylvania. I got to get him one for New York and for New Jersey. But right now, he has 3 magnets on his thing. And we did that in 7 days. Right? Make sure your children travel. They try new things. We went to the Coca-Cola, the world of Coca-Cola. He drank over 100 different types of Coca-Colas from around the world. His favorite is from Italy, right? He tasted stuff from Ghana. So now what happens is when he goes back to school and they do that informational piece about how your summer was, he's going to have a wealth of information to provide. And he's also going to have the language, the vocabulary, and the experience to lend to a conversation as an 8-year-old. Okay? Please introduce yourself to other cultures. I did not have a value for this country that really gets on my nerves. You know why this country gets on my nerves? Because I've traveled so many other places. I've been more places outside of this country than I have in the country, which is why we're doing stuff like road trips. Traveling gives people in general a different value and appreciation for what they have. When I went to third world countries, and let's be clear, a lot of these third world countries are absolutely gorgeous. But I went to a third world country, stayed in a hut where house lizards were running around and they had no plumbing. I sat for at least 30 minutes with a washcloth, some soap, just waiting for something to drip. In this country, most people went across the street and bathed in an ocean. So when I got back to the States, I was like, thank you, Father. Right? No hot water after 8 and all that. Thank you, Lord. That so it gives our children a different. I hope you getting something from this. Our children need to be exposed to other things. We went all the way to New York to have pizza. You know why? Because New York Italian, authentic Italian New York pizza tastes different than the pizza in Delaware. Yup. Why y'all go to New York? We went to go get some pizza. Because I wanted my son to get pizza from New York. I wanted my son to see the buildings in New York that are completely different, right? Than the build. You need to see this stuff that's going on so that you have something to lend to your life. All right. Diverse cultures, different things. I don't want to go there. You're going anyway. You know why? Because you may stumble upon your life's purpose. You don't know what you don't know what you want to do. All you know is that you want to sit in this room, go on TikTok, be on YouTube. No, I'm gonna take you to this museum. Because that might be the place where the Lord has something that will strike you in such a way that it causes you to be the next president of this country. You don't know what you like. It's my job as a parent to expose you to things, lest I be accused when you're 40 of being a terrible parent because I ain't do it. Because one day you're going to regret the parent that never showed you the world. Okay, let me move on. Determine the central message, lesson, or moral. I need y'all to share this with some. Because this is good for any grade. Now you wanna see my passion. We getting ready to get there. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. I'm about to go crazy. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. Bring your notebooks. Here we go. Describe characters in a story. What are their motivations? Okay, the character did that, but why? I don't know. Okay, read it again. Use your schema. What's your schema? Schema is your background information, right? Coupled with what you see presently. Right? If I see somebody walking outside with an umbrella and it's not raining, I'm going to use my schema. At first, I'm wondering why she got that umbrella. Well, first I'm gonna say that, but then I'm gonna be like, wait, she gotta have an umbrella for a reason. What do I know about umbrellas? Well, I know umbrellas protect us from 2 things: the sun, the heat, and the rain. So I'm going to be able to infer, which is another word. What is an inference? It's being able to read between the lines. Okay. I'm going to be able to infer that maybe the character in this story was walking on a sunny day because she was either going to be somewhere where she needed to have shade from the sun, or she watched the weather and knows that it's going to rain today. Right? Did it necessarily tell me that? Nope. But I'm going to use what I already know about umbrellas, right? And I'm going to apply it to what I see. All right? We use our schema all the time. Okay? Can they determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in the text? Can they refer to parts of stories, dramas, and poems when writing or speaking about a text? Can they use terms such as, listen, chapter, scene, stanza? Can they describe how each successive part builds on earlier sections? Okay, we in chapter 8, but what happened in chapter 1, right? That would help us understand why chapter 8 is so important. I don't know. Read it again. Okay? Can they distinguish their own point of view from that of the narrator or those of the other characters? What's your point of view? What you think? I don't know. That's what they said. No, what do you say? What you think about this? Right? Can they explain how specific aspects of a text illustration contribute to what is being conveyed? So you see a picture. Why is this picture here? Trust me, the illustrator didn't just put it there because it was pretty, right? What else is this picture showing us about this story? Okay. Can they compare and contrast the themes? We talked about themes. What is a theme? The theme of the story is the moral lesson that the author is trying to teach us about the world. Okay. So the tortoise and the hare, the theme would have nothing to do with the words tortoise and hare. The theme would be slow and steady wins the race. The theme is what the lesson is that the author is trying to teach the reader about how to live this life. Okay? 3 Little Pigs wasn't really about what's the theme of the story. Build your, don't let me preach because I feel like preaching now. Build your house, right? Make sure when you build, the winds of life won't blow it down, right? Like, make sure when you build, you use durable material. I don't care what that is, your marriage, your house, your money, your whatever, right? We can, as an adult, that's what we get from the Three Little Pigs. You huff and the puff and I blow your house down. That's cute for little kids. We like, the devil not gonna huff and puff. Okay, never mind. Compare and contrast the themes, settings, and plots of stories written by the same author. Robert Frost is a good person to look at, right? For themes, settings, plots, stories written by the same person. What's this road that's divergent between, right? What's those things? Find book series, right? To figure out in the third grade, they're reading things like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Babysitter's Club is popular. Dog Man is popular in third and fourth grade. Those things, right? So written by the same author. What's up with this author? Like, what kind of author is this that they would continue to write these type of things? And then by the end of the year, can they read and comprehend literature, including stories, dramas, and poetry at the high end? This is in the standards. Again, we're at corestandards.org. Don't believe me? Watch. Go to third grade, corestandards.org. It says by the high end of second, third text, complex 2 to 3 text complexity band, independently and proficiently. Can they read at the high end of 2 to 3 texts? Can they read 2 and 3 texts at a time and synthesize independently and proficiently? Most of our third graders can't do that. Here's the good news. It's August. And you know that you can go to corestandards.org and you can look at all of these things and you can look at other resources. All right. Let me also tell you that if you are in a state that has standardized testing in the third grade, find out what the name of that is. For PSSA, I'll tell people that are in Pennsylvania, but you can always look up PSSA sampler test grade 3. That's PSSA space SAMPLER test grade 3. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to get the education.pa.gov and you're going to be able to go on there and see what previous tests look like. So right now they have the 2019-2020 test up. Okay, you can go on there. You can look at what that test is. It's also going to give you the answers. It's going to give you the percentages of the answers that all students scored in the state who took that question. It's going to tell you 43% of the people picked A, 71% picked, B. All right, it's going to give you the percentages and it's going to give you an explanation as to why those answers were wrong. I'm telling you, this is gold. You can also look at the text dependent analysis. What that's going to do is it's going to give you a prompt. It's going to show you the grade. So the way they grade the writing in standardized testing, grades 3 through 8, it's on a score of 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. 4 is advanced. 3 is proficient. 2 is basic. 1 is below basic. 0 is undefined. Okay, they don't even know what you wrote. You just got a 0. You just threw something on there and they were like, no. Okay, but it's going to give you samples of what a 1 is. There's a gnat in my house. I'm about to go crazy. What a 2 writing is, a 3, and a 4. So what does that look like when you're trying to prepare? You give your child the test. You don't show them the 0, 1, 2, and 3s. I don't recommend you show them that first. You show them the 4. Why would I show them a 0? I want to show them where they need to be. I'm going to show you this 4. Here's what you got to do. What do you notice is in here? Oh, well, it's 5 paragraphs, and it's this, and it's that. Okay, cool. That's what I want you to try to reproduce. Now, if you land at a 2 or a 3, whatever. But I showed you that 4 because this is where we need to be. I ain't showing you no 0, no 1. I don't want you to be a 0 or 1. If I show you the 4 and train you up to be a 4 and you land on a 3, I'll take that. All right? But you can show them the sample test for the PSSA. Find out what yours is. Again, I'm very, very well versed in Pennsylvania, so I know that well. I teach in Pennsylvania. I don't live in Pennsylvania, but I teach in Pennsylvania. So I know that data really, really well. Okay. Last part is, I pray y'all getting something from this. This one gonna be kind of long because I'm trying to give y'all some good stuff. Here we go. For math, here, are you ready? Can your child, and this is just the operation. So again, remember, math is operations in algebraic thinking, numbers in operation in base 10, numbers in operation fractions. Yes, your baby is going to be introduced to multiplication and fractions, measurement and data, geometry. Okay, so there are several sections to reading and math. Remember, reading is literature, and then I think they call it informational text. Remember, literature is fiction, fake. Informational text is nonfiction, not fake. Okay, you want to help your child understand, because I told y'all when I grew up, I thought fiction was real, nonfiction was not real. That's what I thought until I realized, you know what? Let me just use the F for fake. Right? Fiction, fake. Nonfiction, not fake. Okay. Operations in algebraic thinking is what I'm going to go over today. Okay. Can they interpret products of whole numbers? Interpret 5 times 7, for example, as the total number of objects in 5 groups of 7 objects each. These are also called arrays. So when you're teaching your child 5 times 7, teach it like this: 5 rows of 7. Rows go across. So what would I do? I would draw 5 lines across. Okay? On each one of those lines, I'm going to draw 7 circles. Okay? 5 rows of 7. What you did was you created an array. Okay? 5 rows of 7 is 35. Now, for your second, third grader, they're going to be just counting circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, blah, 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 blah. Okay, they're going to get to 35. They're going to be excited. Ooh, 35. They're going to write 35 down. By the end of third grade, those 5 times 7 should have a name. The name is 35. How do you do that? Now, when I was growing up, they gave us a multiplication chart and we rubbed our finger until we had no fingerprint left. Now they have these things called flashcards, right? So you can go to the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Yes, that 25 still irks my everlasting soul. But for $1.25, saints of God, you can go and get multiplication and division flashcards. If you want to keep them more durable, you can do 2 things. Keep them in the box. Keep the box with 3 things. Keep the box in the plastic bag, or you can get a laminator. Put 4 cards on a laminating sheet. For $20, you can go buy a really good Scott laminator. Laminate them puppies, all right? Cut them out, round the edges, of course, and they're more durable. Okay, you can also write. I wanted to mention this the other day. Whenever you have laminated, you want to make your own whiteboard, great. You can go to the dollar store and get that. More than likely, that dollar store whiteboard is going to last you 2.5 weeks. You could also go take some cardstock paper, get a laminator, put it in a laminating thing. You can you can write on lamination paper, and you can also erase it very easily and very cheaply. Okay. Can they do that? Can they build an array? Can they interpret whole number quotients? Most of our kids don't even know what a quotient is. A quotient is the name of the answer to a division problem. Sum is the name of the answer to an addition problem. Difference is subtraction, and product is multiplication. They should know these words. They should not. What's the multiplication answer? No. What's the product? Right? What's the division answer? No. What's the quotient? Okay? Gotta use this academic language. Okay? Can they interpret 56, for example? 56 divided by 8 as the number of objects in each share. That's another word. When they see the word share, they should automatically know this is division. Okay? Man, this is good. Use multiplication and division within 100 to solve word problems. Determine the unknown whole number. Don't worry, I'm going to give you some resources today. Are you like, what? Where am I getting all this information from? I'm going to help you out. Determine the unknown whole number in a multiplication or division equation relating 3 whole numbers. For example, determine the unknown number that makes this equation true. You ready? Let me see. I'm going to test y'all. 8 times what equals 48? What divided by 3 equals whatever? Okay? Can they do that? And watch this. Can they do it mentally? Because they should be able to. All right? Can they apply properties of operations as strategies to multiply and divide? Do they know what the commutative property of multiplication is? What? What does it mean to commute? It means to move. Right? Do they know what the associative property is? Y'all should hear me teach associative property. I teach about middle school friends and how 1 week y'all associate with one group and the next week they associate with another child. That whole conversation be a life lesson. Do you hear me? The associative property. Many of us operate in the associative property of friendship. That's a whole nother story. Distributive property. Do they know what that means? To distribute a number out, right, to other numbers in the parentheses. All right. Do they understand division as an unknown factor problem? Do they know that division and multiplication are related? They're first cousins. Do they know that addition and subtraction are related? They're first cousins. Do they know that? They should. Can they fluently multiply and divide within 100? What? Fluently. If I say 8 times 5, they should be able to tell me 40. If I say 40 divided by 5, they should be able to tell me 8, like that. Okay? Can they do that? From memory. All right? Can they solve two-step word problems using the 4 operations? What are operations? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Can they represent these problems using equations with the letter? What? That's algebra. Here's the consolation. 1 plus b equals 3. What does b equal? Oh, 2. Oh, okay. A variable is just an unknown, right? We know unknowns. It's easy. If you started off like that, you're essentially teaching them pre-algebra and algebra in the 3rd grade. Try it. 2 plus n. Well, what? I used to think n had to be something different than b. No, it could be y. It could be x. It just means an unknown. Okay? It does not matter what letter you use. It's just an unknown. Okay? Can they identify, last one, arithmetic patterns? Patterns in an addition problem. Can they explain them? Right? If I have 2, 4, blank, blank, they should be able to tell me 6, 8. Well, how do you know that pattern? Well, the first 2 added 2. Right? They should be able to do that. Okay? Now that you're overwhelmed and you're trying to figure out why in the world my child needs to know this at the age of 8, here are some resources. Are you ready? Write these down. I brought some books that I'm using with my son. I mentioned to you all Kumon before. Now, for as much as I teach and tutor, here's what I can't do well. I can't teach my own child. Most teachers will tell you they don't teach their own children. For 2 reasons. One, I teach all day. I don't want to come home and teach. As a matter of fact, I pay the Boys and Girls Club to make sure my son's homework is done before he gets home. Because I don't want to do homework. I'm sorry. That probably sounds so irresponsible. I don't care. I don't want to do homework when I get home. I don't. Secondly, my son is my son and I'm his mommy. We watch wrestling. We eat pizza. We drink soda when we shouldn't. We love gummy bears. We like to wrestle and pillow fight. We like to play with water guns in the backyard and stay up late on school nights. I'm not teaching him. So we use other resources. Now, Kumon is a place where I was going to take my son this year. And to be honest, I just didn't want to pay the $225. Really, I just didn't. I probably should have, but I didn't want to. So what I did was I went on Amazon.com, which is, it is so good. There's so much stuff. I'm going to actually put some links together this week, and I'm going to section it off into sections to give you some of my favorite things that I think you would like from kindergarten through 8th, okay? So what I did was I went on Amazon and I bought these for my son. Now, I think all 6 of these, so I have this one, division, this is grade 3. Word problems is here. They have writing. What else they got? They got reading. Somebody is calling me from New York. They have multiplication. And I got him geometry and measurement. What does this sound like? This sounds like the Common Core standard categories. This, ladies and gentlemen, I think cost me $50 for all of them. $50 for all of them. Here's the beauty. They have an answer key at the back. All right. So for those of you who are like, I don't know what this is, I don't know. Okay. They have an answer key at the back. All right. Work with your kids during this time. All right. My son has to do 200 problems in order to earn a $10 gift card. That's our reward system here. You do 200 problems, you get the gift card. Okay. I don't care what order you do them in. I just need to be able to see that you did them. Okay. I think each page has like 20 problems on it. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Trust me, I'm not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm not doing that. Okay. So I think each page has like 20 on them. You can come up with some kind of reward system, whatever you need to do. Okay, so those are great books. I told you Kumon is really about process. Kumon, if you go in person, will also time your child. So the goal is to do it within 15 minutes per page. Now, their books aren't like that. Their books are actually super boring. They're like not 3x5. They may be 6x8 booklets, and they're all just black and white. It's just, to me, it doesn't, I don't know. I would be bored with something like that. But these books have more color that you can use for your kid. Even if the color is just a green little border and green around the clocks, it has more color than the in-person ones. The in-person ones are super boring. So that's a great resource. It comes with the answer key as well. All right, let me give you 2 other resources and we're going to leave. Well, I'll give you more than that. ABC Mouse at this time is a little, I should have mentioned that for pre-K, kindergarten, maybe first grade. I think by second grade, unless your child has some foundational cracks, ABC Mouse is good for what it's good for. But I think by second grade, you really should venture out into these 2 areas. All right. So Khan Academy. All right. Let me give you the website for that. And all of these you can build free free accounts. Okay, khanacademy.org is KH. Can somebody type this for me? KHANACADEM as in Mary, Y.org. Okay, khanacademy.org. What I like about khanacademy.org. Now, Khan Academy also has Khan Academy Kids. Now, Khan Academy Kids, you can only get through an application on your phone. They do not have a website. If you go to the website for if you try to type in Khan Academy Kids, they're going to redirect you to a phone app. Okay, so you can only get that on an application on a tablet or something like that. But khanacademy.org, I think is really good for first through adulthood, actually, because it even has things on there for like SSAT, entrepreneurship. I mean, it's really good. Finance, it's really, really good. Okay. So khanacademy.org, and you can go ahead and build a free account there. Go into the search section. You can do searches for first grade, second grade, and what'll happen is it'll outline for you like groups and groups of things that your child can work on. Okay. It is all electronic. It also comes, what I like about Khan Academy is that it comes with video tutorials, and it comes with like 4 or so, practice sheets. Okay. And you can watch those things over and over again. And so there's that. Okay. Common Core Sheets. Common Core Sheets. Let me get you that. Common Core Sheets. CommonCoreSheets.com. Let me type this stuff in for you. CommonCoreSheets.com. Okay, so I'm going to give you KhanAcademy.org. Let me type this in for you, and CommonCoreSheets.com. Okay, these are really good. So Khan Academy you can use for reading and math. CommonCoreSheets.com is all math. Now, the beauty of CommonCoreSheets.com is that you can go to the left side and you can go to sort by grade. Okay? When you go to sort by grade, you can pick the grade that you're interested in. All right? Now, this does have some, I think it has some kindergarten, maybe. I know it has first grade. I'm not sure if it has kindergarten. But it does break it down for you per grade, and it will give you worksheets according to what? The Common Core Standards. Okay, so now that you have corestandards.org, you can go right to commoncoresheets.com, go to sort by grade, pick the grade, it is going to follow the same outline, okay, as core standards.org. Okay, last resource I want to give you is ReadWorks. Okay, ReadWorks is another area. You know what? I don't know if they give a free account. I think you have to be a teacher for this. I'm not sure. Look into it. Let me see. I get a whole bunch of. Oh no, they have a parent. They have a parent site. They have a parent one, educator, parent, and then you have student. Okay, try it. It's worth a try. All right, readworks.org. Let me type that in for you. Readworks.org. Go ahead and look at these. Now, the beauty of these, I'm going to be referring to them throughout the rest of this week, because all of these resources that I'm giving you are good for grades 1 through 8. Okay, so if you know somebody that's in 1 through 8, before I get to 8th grade, tomorrow I'm teaching 4th grade. 4th grade happens to be my favorite grade to teach. So there's that. But these resources, KhanAcademy.org, readworks.org, and commoncoresheets.com are resources that you should be using right now for any grades 1 through 8. Okay? Woo! That was a lot, Saints. That was a lot. But my prayer is that you either got something from this, or you can share this information with someone else who can use it. Please invite someone to come. This event page is going to be up. It is not on my personal page, but I do take these and I share it to my personal page. But in this event page, all of these are going to live here. All right. So if at any time you're like, I need to go figure it out. Remember, kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd grade were already done this week. They are already up, ready to go. I think I'm going to get a YouTube page too and just download some stuff or upload whatever load there as well, so that it has somewhere to live somewhere else. Because this information, guys, is absolutely phenomenal. Okay. There's so much more. But I can't, of course, get through all of that. But if you ever wanted to get information specifically about your child, please inbox me. Okay. I love giving information. All right. So I'm not one of those people that's like, why are they asking me? No. Inbox me. All right. Ask me your questions. We can schedule whatever. If you need to talk, we can talk. I don't care. Or we can just converse through inbox, and I will try to help you set your child up as best as we possibly can, so that this body of folk who come in contact with this information are not caught off guard, and that we already hit the ground running this year. This is so super important. Your investment that you make in your child's education is one of the greatest investments you could possibly make. Period. Right? The value that you put into the education of your child, I promise you, my son hated Mandarin class. He hates swim class. He he hates doing these workbooks. But guess what? I have a sneaky suspicion that one day he's going to look back and he's going to be grateful for the 6 pages a day that he had to do when he was with his daddy. For the time that you know what I'm saying? He's going to be more grateful and appreciative of the investments that we made in his education, because of what he will be able to accomplish as a young Black man in America. Period. All right. So rewatch this if you need to. It will live here. I love you all so much. Please, again, if you need to reach out to me, please do that. We have so many great resources, and I'd love to share them with you. Okay? Love you so much. I'll see you tomorrow for 4th grade. Invite somebody here for the 4th grade tomorrow. All right? Peace.